Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining me once again here on Talkin Fight for another episode of Boxing News Headlines. We've got some good fights coming up. Benavidez versus Plant, for example. And also we have Adrian Broner stepping back into the ring. But he's going to be facing little-known light welterweight Michael Williams next month down at the Gateway Center in College Park, Georgia. Now, Williams, for lack of better description, might be actually called a journeyman. But he's 21, 13 knockouts. He's 6'1". He's a tall guy. And he's replacing the 39-year-old Hank Lundy as Broner's opponent for the first of 3 pay-per-view fights on BLK Prime. Lundy is currently suspended, but he had lost his last 4 fights since 2001, making it impossible for him to be used as the opponent for Broner, who's 34-4-1. Initially, Broner was actually supposed to fight Ivan Radek on February 25th, but he was pulled last week due to promotional issues. So BLK Prime isn't giving Broner any issues about him facing a quote-unquote weak opponent. Now, for his part, Broner is looking rather ripped. Adrian has clearly lost a lot of weight, and if he can continue to show the same discipline he's exhibited in this camp, there's no reason why he can't trim down to his old weight classes at 135 and 130. The opportunities for Broner at lightweight would be endless, and his power would likely be as formidable as it used to be when he was knocking everybody out. The 33-year-old Broner has done a bang-up job trimming down his huge pot belly that he started training camp with. His physique now looks different from how it did when he started camp. With that said, Broner still needs to finish trimming down his midsection because he's not going to make the 140-pound limit for his fight, with Williams looking the way he is right now. Of course, even if Broner misses weight by a huge margin, it won't keep the fight against Williams from still going ahead because this isn't a title fight. It appears they've given Broner the green light to take a gimme for the first fight of his 3-fight contract, because he's been out of the ring for 2 years and hasn't legitimately won a fight since 2016. Although Broner has won a couple of fights in the last 7 years, those were controversial victories over Adrian Granados and Giovanni Santiago. And if you saw either of those fights, you know that Broner didn't come close to beating either guy. There's a bit of an update on Adrian Broner. Let's move across to Oscar De La Hoya. Yes, that's right. And he says they're working on the small details that are required to complete the contract for a fight between Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia that we hope will take place on April 15th, which will be shown on a Showtime pay-per-view. De La Hoya insists that the fight will go ahead on April 15th, and he's already talking about the pair having a trilogy at some point. Oscar says that after Ryan, 23-0, 19 knockouts, beats Tank Davis, 28-0, 26 knockouts, there will be an immediate rematch. That's the fight that De La Hoya wants for Ryan if he successfully defeats Tank. Unfortunately for De La Hoya, many boxing fans see this fight as little more than an engineered cash-out for the 24-year-old Ryan, because he's faced exclusively mediocre opposition his entire 7-year professional career. And this is courtesy of our friends at boxingnews24.com and their writer, Dan Ambrose. As you might recall, he looked, halfway decent against Luke Campbell in 2021. Anyway, it's probably not a good idea for De La Hoya to get his hopes up too much about Ryan defeating Tank, because if that fails to happen, he's going to be down in the dumps, wondering how to pick up the broken pieces of his fighter's career. Said De La Hoya, we're just going to go back and forth, little details here and there, but I feel very confident that April 15th will go down. It'll be the biggest event in recent years. I feel strongly Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis will go down as one of the best events in recent years. This is the best fight, the best. I feel strongly that when you have a performance where you shine, you look good, you fight with passion, fight hard, there is no loser, there's no loss. I see this fight as an even fight. Obviously, my boy Ryan Garcia is going to win, but I can see a trilogy taking place. It's that type of fight because both guys are undefeated, both guys are young, and both guys are passionate about what they do. Both guys have huge fan bases. This is a trilogy. Well, we'll wait to see the result of that. Let's move along to some disappointing news out of Mike Tyson's camp. A woman has filed a lawsuit accusing former heavyweight champ Mike Tyson of raping her sometime in the early 1990s as she met him at a nightclub in Albany, New York. The legal action was filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act, which gives sexual assault victims a 1-year window to file lawsuits over assaults that happened years or even decades ago. The woman, who was suing for $5 million, said Tyson raped her in a limousine and that she has suffered from physical, psychological, and emotional injury in the years since. The woman's affidavit does not provide a date for the attack, but says that it happened in the early 1990s. It is unclear whether she pursued criminal action at the time of the alleged assault. And this, by the way, comes courtesy of our friends over at ESPN. Neither Tyson nor any of his representatives have responded to the allegation or commented on the lawsuit. A message from the Associated Press seeking comment from Tyson was sent to an agency that has represented him. The woman, who asked to remain anonymous to protect her privacy and prevent her from suffering further mental harm and harassment, said in her affidavit that she got in Tyson's limousine and that the boxer immediately started touching her and trying to kiss her. I told him no several times and asked him to stop, but he continued to attack me, the woman said. Then he pulled my pants off and violently raped me. The woman's attorney, Darren Silbach, said in a separate filing that his office investigated her allegations and determined that they are highly credible. He said Tuesday he could not comment further on the case. Tyson, who's now 56 years of age, was convicted of raping beauty pageant contestant Desiree Washington on February 10, 1992, and served 3 years in prison. His former wife, actor Robin Givens, also said in divorce papers that their late 1980s marriage was characterized by unprovoked rages of violence and destruction. The Brooklyn-born Tyson was boxing's undisputed world heavyweight champ from 1987 to 1990. And by the way, he has gone on the road on speaking tours in recent years, discussing the changes that he has undergone. And certainly, we wait to see what happens in this particular lawsuit. Too bad for Mike Tyson, for sure. Too bad for the girl, if those accusations prove to be true. In the good news front, something that we have hoped here on Talkin' Fight would happen. Jake Paul's promotional group, MVP, are expanding their roster, and they've announced a new signing, Shadasia Green. She's a super middleweight, and Green has become the second female boxer and fourth fighter overall to sign with MVP, that's Most Valuable Promotions, Jake Paul's company that he started in collaboration with others. Anyway, Green's first fight, promoted by MVP, will be February 4th on the undercard of the undisputed featherweight title bout between Amanda Serrano and Erica Cruz, taking place at the Hulu Theater in New York. Green, ESPN's number 3 super middleweight, will face former IBF and WBA super middleweight champ Ellen Cederos, who is ranked number 4 in the division by ESPN. The fight will be an eliminator for the WBC title, making the winner the mandatory challenger for undisputed super middleweight champion Franchon Cruz de Zun. Green joins Serrano, Paul, and 18-year-old Ashton Silv as fighters promoted by Paul and co-founder Nakisa Badarian. My motto is, be phenomenal or be forgotten, a mantra that fits so perfectly with the team that Jake and Nakisa have created, Green said. We're striving for greatness together, and I can't wait to work side by side with them for this next phase of my career. Green's sporting a record, by the way, of 11-0 with 10 knockouts, last fought in October when she stopped Ogladys Suarez in the 5th round of an 8-round fight on the undercard of Jake Paul's win over Anderson Silva in Arizona. Green turned pro in 2019 after an amateur career. Cederos, for her part, she's 8-1, 4 knockouts, lost an undisputed title fight against Cruz de Zern in April on the Serrano-Katie Taylor fight that was held at Madison Square Garden. Green, she's 33 years old, is considered one of the hardest punchers in the upper divisions of the sport, forcing stoppages in her past 8 fights. She's never gone past 6 rounds in any of her fights. In a co-statement issued by Paulin Bedarian, we couldn't be more thrilled to welcome Shadasia and her camp to our team of wildly talented and passionate athletes. Her ability to take over the ring and demolish her opponents is truly something special. Green's management team of Danny and Veronica Soto will remain involved in her career working with Paul and Bedarian. Green began boxing at the age of 15 as a way to stay in shape for basketball, which she played collegiately at Old Dominion from 2007 to 2011, reaching the Sweet 16 as a freshman. So we look forward to seeing her results. Right. And for the final story of the day, let's have a quick little update on Anthony Joshua and his ongoing saga. He's looking to fight Jermaine Franklin, and according to Eddie Hearn, they're close to a deal and set to fight on April 1st. Former heavyweight champ Anthony Joshua and Jermaine Franklin are in the process of finalizing a deal for a fight on April 1st at the O2 Arena in London. This is according to ESPN. Terms have been verbally agreed, but there are no signed contracts yet, sources said, who added that there are other options for Joshua in the unlikely event the deal falls apart. Joshua, one of the biggest stars in global boxing, will look to rebound from back-to-back losses to Alexander Usyk for the unified heavyweight championship. Joshua is sporting a record now of 24-3 with 22 knockouts, dropped his WBA, WBO, and IBF titles to Usyk in August of 2021 via unanimous decision. The 33-year-old from England was defeated in the September rematch by split decision. Now Joshua will seek his first win since December 2020 when he takes on Franklin, an underdog from Saginaw, Michigan, coming off a career-best performance. The 29-year-old had never competed on a world-class level before he met Dillian Whyte in a majority decision loss back in November. Franklin, who's 21-1, 14 knockouts, has now parlayed that effort against Joshua's former rival into the biggest opportunity of his life. Dimitri Salita, Franklin's promoter, said Jermaine is a world-class heavyweight on his way to bringing a big win back home. We hope to get the deal over the finish line shortly. I signed Jermaine a little more than 3 years ago, and I always believed that he had the skills to be one of the best heavyweights in the world. He's shown that throughout his career and to worldwide fans in his last fight against Dillian Whyte. Not only has he showed his world-class skills, but he's shown the mental strength to perform thousands of miles away from home in a hostile crowd. That will be a key ingredient on April 1st. Like myself, most fans and most press felt Jermaine won the fight. Being an underdog and doing what he did is incredible on such a high level. Some similarities to Andy Ruiz versus Joshua. Ruiz was also the underdog, and they both size, quick hands, and good chin, and the ability to come forward and the desire to win. In one of the biggest upsets in the heavyweight championship history, Joshua was stopped by Ruiz in round 7 of their 2019 fight in New York. AJ's lone bout in the U.S., by the way. Joshua recaptured his 3 titles from Ruiz that December in Saudi Arabia via unanimous decision. He's ranked number 4 by ESPN at heavyweight, while Franklin is number 10. So there you go, fight fans. There's all the news for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Appreciate it very much. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And we'll see you later on at 4 p.m. Eastern Time when I join Mike Orr and Cedric Ben for their show, Knuckle Up. Thank you.